Look up the word crazy in the dictionary and you might just find an asterisk beside the definition that says, listen to the Subiquitous podcast featuring Sue Duffield and you'll find out what crazy means. Sue's travelogue journey of unfiltered stories, impossible miracles, and faith-filled fun will be revisited right here. So buckle up and let's get going with this humorous travelogue of an unfiltered saint, Subiquitous.
Well, it's nice to be back. It's episode 38. How are you today? Have you ever thought if someone from the 50s, or even the 60s for that matter, suddenly appeared today, what would be the most difficult thing to explain to them about life? I've gone back and forth thinking, oh my word, if even someone from the 40s and 30s was to, if they passed on early, like my grandfather who passed away in the 60s, if he could see and be present now, what in the world? How would I explain to him certain things? Well, one of the things would be interesting to try to explain to my grandfather would be touch screen technology. First of all, it's the direct manipulation type of gesture-based technology. That's what it's called. And direct manipulation is the ability to manipulate the digital world inside a screen. Can you imagine trying to explain to your parents, grandparents, or those that have gone on even a 20 years ago to explain to them what in the world digital technology is? Oh, my word. Well, a touchscreen is an electronic visual display capable of detecting and locating a touch over its display. And so the older iPhone that I had, almost a decade ago, it had the key phrase of access on the main screen. It said, slide to unlock. And I don't know if you remember that if you had an iPhone. So in other words, it said swipe to enter or run your finger across from left to right to get in. It was like the rite of passage to access the smartphone world. Now, our grandson, Nolan, Jeff Duffield, got a Christmas gift from you this past Christmas.
Yes, he did.
And it was a imitation iPhone.
As a matter of fact, it's called the Y-phone.
The Y-phone. And immediately we saw this child. First of all, he didn't need the toy. He's been very enamored with his parents.
Well, that's where the inspiration came from it. He would steal his mother's iPhone, sitting on the couch. Whenever he got an opportunity, when she set it down, he would grab it and run off. And we've been FaceTiming him.
Yes.
And her, I should say, FaceTiming both of them, and he would grab the phone
and run with it.
And you almost get seasick watching the phone because he's carrying it in his hand, and then it would come up and catch his face. He'd spin it around, and he had this grin on his face like, I'm getting something from Mom that I'm not supposed to have.
And it didn't take him long to figure out how to slide his fingers across to see pictures.
Yeah, that's crazy.
I was doing it with him the other day. I mean, I brought up the app of my photos, and I had some pictures of his cousin, Jameson, in Pennsylvania, and he's very intrigued with other babies, and especially Jameson, who he's not even seen in person yet.
Right.
So he is swiping he's 18 months old, and he's swiping the pictures to see the next one and the next one and the next one.
He's figured it out, which is crazy.
18 months old.
Yeah.
I mean, I even have a friend of mine online that says her 7-month-old. And I think if we go back, we could probably, it's not just started with Nolan, but it goes back even when they were a year old. They've already figured out this technology of touching things.
Yep. And I had all I could do when I was that age to put a baseball cap on.
Well, I'm not going to go there.
Well,
but
it's the truth.
I am going to say to you, remember though, as parents, my mom had one of those lamps that was a touch lamp. Remember that?
The clapper.
Oh, it wasn't the clapper. It was a brass.
Oh, that's right. The clapper. Yeah, the clapper. You just clapped your hands and it hurt. Yeah. This one, there was one. Yeah, you go up and touch the base.
It was a brass lamp. She got it like Basco's or Best Buy. Well, there was no Best Buy then.
Yeah,
Basco.
Wow. Yeah, Basco.
See, I'm aging myself.
Yeah.
And
but
our
you just
son,
touched the base.
Yeah.
And it would turn the light on or turn the light off.
That's right. And
And
David
he was intrigued by it. Yes,
he was only maybe a year and a half, 2 years
probably
old.
not. Yeah, probably not much older than that.
And
yeah.
would love. But then here's what it did to him, though. We watched him going to other friends' homes.
Yep.
And he would go up to the lamp and try to make them all work that way.
He assumed all lamps were touch sensitive, as it were.
Because if you think about it, if one lamp is a touch lamp, they're all that way.
Sure. Yeah.
So that's the brain of most Christians. You know,
Yeah,
if it's one
I don't know
this
that
way.
it's Christians, or I think we're all that way.
Well, I know.
Christians or non, but yeah, I get
But
your
if
point.
it works one way, it's got to work every way that way.
Yeah,
And that's
what
not
they
always
say.
true.
No.
Which brings me to this one. How about this, Jeffrey?
Okay, Susan.
Since you are a keyboardist and piano player, not every keyboard and not every piano that you've played has the same, as they say, touch. This is one
that is the understatement
of the year.
If it not half year, not decade. Yeah.
So how do you adjust? I want to know if touching.
Oh my.
With technology. Now I know it's a whole different thing with keyboards.
Here's how you adjust. You don't play as good. Because there are some keyboards that will allow you to do things musically that you can't do on a let's just say less inexpensive.
Yeah.
But it all has to do with the way they're set up. There was and he's probably listening to this, but there's a good friend of ours in Maryland, Jonathan Willey, who bought a piano for his church.
Right.
And he bought this. I'm going to say Yamaha. Forgive me, Jonathan, if it's not right, but I believe it's a Yamaha. And I didn't know he had purchased it. And we came there to do a concert one morning, and there it sat.
Oh, and I thought you went to heaven.
Yeah, and if you recall, you
went to piano heaven that day.
Yeah, you had a difficult time getting me off of that piano, if you recall.
Yeah.
But it was it had been owned by another pianist, and my understanding was a pretty good one. And he kept it, as we say, kept the maintenance.
Well,
on it.
and that's the key, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, definitely. Not only, a lot of folks think you just tune it, and that's true. Tuning is obviously a big part of it, but when you have a piano action like that, a real piano action like that,
So the touch on a regular piano,
you have to adjust it. You have to tweak it.
okay.
Yeah.
Now, I listen to you sometimes when you have your headphones on and you're playing your controller, which is a keyboard.
Yes.
And I can hear you adjust how, even though they're weighted keys or whatever, I can hear you adjust on how sometimes you're playing very hard and sometimes you're playing very light.
Depends on what you're trying to do. Yeah.
I know, but I'm not hearing what you're playing. I'm just hearing
Right.
the sound of the keys.
Right.
So you're saying to me then there is touch sensitivity to
very much
keyboards
so. Like
as
you
well.
said, like you said, weighted keyboards. They developed them, I don't know, 20 years ago, something like that. And the early ones were not real good, but the newer versions are real good. I'm not going to say they're like a well set up Steinway.
No, but it is
or a Yamaha, but they're real good.
They've tried really hard, I think, to
Yeah.
make it like
Yeah.
a real piano.
Yeah, and
But-
there is a physical action in there, not as sophisticated as a real piano, but there is, and it you definitely feel it. You know,
Yeah, there's no way we could have taken a grand piano and put it in the back of the Flex, all these years. No. So right.
No. That and hence the experiences that I've had playing pianos. Oh boy, some of them, in some places where we've played, they just should have wheeled it out and shot it, or at least taken a hatchet to it or an axe,
Have a youth
and
night.
put it out of its misery, if not my misery.
But see, this is what happens now, and I'm wanting to talk about the touch technology and what we've become accustomed to. You have said on many occasions that you can tell it had been a long time since you had played a really good acoustic piano, because you had been playing obviously with your tracks and obviously
most of what I
doing
do these
orchestration.
days are with keyboards.
Right.
Yeah,
So then when you finally do come in contact with a great piano, you got a workout for you.
Oh yeah. Oh, definitely. A real piano set up properly is it ain't the same as these keyboards.
No.
It's not the same. And yeah, you play on it, and you don't have to play hard. You don't necessarily have to play hard, but it requires more effort, and you get done, and you feel it in your forearms and in your fingers. Yeah, no doubt.
And so,
It's a good feeling, by the way.
I was going to say it's a great feeling, right?
Yeah, it is.
So all the more the reason we need to start putting a GoFundMe page for you to get a Yamaha C7 up here in our 900 square foot apartment.
Sure. Yeah, and we'll just it'll just take over just the entire living room. We'll watch TV on it. We'll sleep on it.
We'll call it couch to kitchen to piano.
Yes, yes. In the near future, we may do that. Right now, it would be a little problematic.
Well, don't think this is weird. And I have said this time and time again because I believe so much in technology. We have used technology to our benefit.
We're using it now.
We're using it right now, and we're thanking God, and we're
Yes.
thanking God that we can reach our friends and our family and our audience around the world by just literally touching a button on a computer. And so it's the same thing for me. I think about how much we are expanding a little bit in our knowledge base and our kids and what they're thwarted into immediately when they're born. These kids today have iPads when they're like 6 months old, sitting in a car seat in the back seat. So
Yep. My grandson,
yes,
David, has bought Jameson.
Jameson
one
does. Yeah,
to keep him occupied.
I know.
As the Spanish say,
And by the
occupado.
way, he might, we don't know, but where these kids are going to go. But my goodness, does he have a musical ear?
Which
Jameson.
one? Oh, does he?
Oh my
I
word!
haven't seen it yet.
Oh no, listen. When he's directing the band, sometimes.
Well, that's true.
When he's watching
Yeah.
Moana.
Yeah, he definitely
and he's
waves his
very
arms. Yeah,
he's
I forgot
very
that.
interested in music. And when I had him for the day, I stole him for the day one time.
I know you did.
Don't tell anybody.
Yeah, okay, I won't say a
I
word.
stole him for the whole day.
I heard.
And I took him with me to the beach. And we listened to music all the way to the beach. And I could see in my rearview mirror in the car seat his face just lighting up to music.
Isn't that something?
So while the technology has changed and it's continually changing, there's still something that doesn't change, and that's the incredible power of good music.
Yep.
And so what we've learned is that, we've adjusted in technology. And, the title of this episode is Touch and Slide to Unlock. We've had to learn, we've been forced to learn the new technology, but there's still something rich and wonderful about you just playing the piano. And we've learned that with our Couch to Kitchen concerts, that most of the people that watch and view that, they're not interested in us singing with soundtracks.
No.
They would rather you just play and me sing.
Well, here's something I saw yesterday, and I played it for you. I went back and played it again on Facebook. There's a website that posted a video from maybe 15 or 20 years ago of a live little concert. There couldn't have been more than 100, maybe 100 people there.
Okay.
Wherever it was. And it was Chet Atkins, and it was probably in Nashville. Chet Atkins and a bunch of other musicians that were up there with him. And they brought out Jerry Reed.
Right.
For Smokey and the Bandit, and when the hit song in the 70s, When You're Hot, You're Hot, and which was a hilarious song.
I don't know why that song title makes me laugh. But it does.
Na 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 na. When You're Hot, You're Hot. Yeah. But anyway, he came out and played with these 3 or 4 other musicians, at least that I could see. I don't know if there was a drummer, but anyway. And they played one song, and it struck me again, the beauty and, oh my gosh, you can't do it electronically. It's not the same when you do a sequence, and I do it every day, but it's not the same versus bringing 3 or 4 musicians or 5 musicians or whatever. It's sitting and playing.
Right.
And just the feel, the sound, the groove, if you will, the whole thing. No. We've done a really good job. We can fake it on computers and,
Yes.
and instruments and all sampled instruments, but it ain't the same.
It's not the same.
I'm showing my age there,
No.
but it ain't the same.
It's not the same. And even in reality, in much that I love that our grandsons understand technology, there's
Right.
still nothing better than taking them outside
right.
and actually showing them the beach and actually showing them a mountain and actually walking in a path instead of looking at it on your phone.
Virtual pictures. is
Yeah,
the
I mean,
word, yeah.
there's just something about that that's still, that I think is still needed, especially now. So one of the things that I learned about too is in order for us to get into this apartment downstairs, we need to have another touch technology. We need to have a key fob.
Oh, that's right. Yes, we do.
And so
Well, no, there's actually two. One to get in, one to get out. if you
one to get
recall.
yeah, but the key fob to get in,
Yes.
we don't need to get out. We just have to press the little button to
But
get
again,
out.
but again, that button doesn't move.
No.
If you just touch it, the mere fact that you're making contact with it with your finger causes it to operate and unlock
Right.
the gate.
It doesn't matter how hard you touch it.
Nope,
It's
nope.
not touch sensitive like a keyboard.
No, it's just contact. which
But I
is-
have noticed it does not work as well when I just put lotion on my hands.
and it probably doesn't work as well when
It
you
gets
try
greasy.
to, and probably when you try to stick your leg through the gate and touch it.
As some that we have known
As
that have
some-
tried to break in to see
Some
us.
friends of ours that have very thin legs that are able to accomplish that feat. Yeah.
Well, I laughed because the other night when I got home, I guess I went to Kroger or whatever, and I was watching a woman trying to get into the gate because it's a gated community here. And so she was trying to use her key fob to open up the gate with her car. And then it's the same thing that we found out. You have to turn your car off to be able to present the key fob.
yeah.
And then your engine's off, so then it opens it up, and then you got to put the key back in and then turn it back on. And I felt sorry for her because she had a line of about 3 people behind her beeping their horns.
Well, there's a code there that I've done it once or twice.
we
but I
have
don't
yet to
remember.
figure out that code.
Well, we did it once
Did we do it
successfully,
once?
but I forgot it. And
Yeah.
you're supposed to hit the button and a number, and fortunately, we don't need, because of our location, we don't need that gate. We can come in
Yeah.
and park without that gate.
So how would we explain that?
Oh, by the way,
What?
totally kind of off the subject.
Well, don't let me forget what I was just going to say too.
Okay. How do you explain? Our new car,
Yes.
our recent acquisition a few months ago, our Buick, the
Right.
hatch on the back has a
Oh.
non-touch touch.
Non-touch.
Yes, that you've not mastered yet.
I have not been able to figure this one out.
I've got it about 85%, but you've not. Whereas if you walk to the back,
It's
and you're
probably because I don't have a size 13 shoe.
maybe, but like
you do.
yesterday when my hands were full,
Yeah.
and I didn't want to set things down and all that lazy kind of stuff, you can just take your leg and just reach under the bumper of the car, just kind of like a kicking motion, if you will. Just
Yeah.
swing your leg underneath of the bumper, and you have to do it at the right spot, just to the left of the license plate. And there's a sensor under there that will sense your motion
Oh, yes.
and open the gate
Says
for
you.
you. I did it yesterday.
I did it
You've
once.
done it.
I did it once, but I haven't been able. I just a few minutes ago when I got back from my orthopedic appointment, which is another podcast. I couldn't put my foot because my foot that I hurt can't go that far.
And that podcast would be called Das Boot. Anyway, there's some yesterday you were going to tell me about something.
Oh, yesterday. Well, I was going to say, can we explain? How would we explain to my grandfather Joe Beatty, who passed away in 1960? How could I explain? How could I explain to him key fobs?
No.
And how could I explain to him access by just touching something?
No, they would be.
No, it's just crazy.
They would be dumbfounded.
So-
and I mean that respectfully. My grandfather the same way, or my mother's father, or my
Yeah.
father's father who passed away in 1958.
Yeah.
They'd be dumbfounded
Well,
with the
even-
things that we do today.
That's right. And even going back, even my parents who have now been gone.
Oh, even your dad.
My
When
dad.
your dad had had the first, and it was amazing because he was the older generation.
Yeah.
But he had the first email.
Right. And he was young before his time.
Yeah, but he had this little young before his
Well,
time.
what I mean is he didn't get old.
No, he never got old.
He
but
didn't get old. Wasn't around long enough to
Your
get
father
old, for
liked
that matter.
gizmos. He had
He
had all
loved
kind of-
gadgets.
gizmos and gadgets, including the horn on his motorhome that would play.
Dun, 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 dun. Well, we shouldn't go there.
Right, that
It's not
and-
politically correct.
No, or a bugle call whenever he pulled up to your house.
But
Anyway.
even so,
But he had that little gizmo
Yeah.
that he tried so hard to make it work.
I
The
know.
technology was so infantile at the moment.
well, his emails were consistently just forwarding other
don't-
emails that
Well,
other
yeah, but
emails
we never got any emails from him because we didn't have email.
Oh, that's right.
He
We didn't
was-
have it yet.
No,
Oh,
we didn't
my
have
word.
email.
We didn't have it yet. Okay.
No, we hadn't signed up for. You've got mail.
That's right.
Oh boy, am I dating myself? Yeah, but yeah, that's only a short 20 years ago. But yeah, I don't believe I never got an email from your father. Of course, like you say, this piece of gear gave him more fits than anything.
I know. But think about this. We possess, if we just for 1 minute, and I'm talking about the iPhone or any smartphone for that matter, we possess a device in our pocket that's capable of accessing the entirety
It's
of information known to man.
It's crazy. It's crazy.
So how would you explain that
no.
when our children at 16 months and 18 months old already have figured out that they can access anything at any time? They can FaceTime their grandparents.
Yeah, this pocket-sized
yeah.
this pocket-sized device, you can go according to your setup and your service. You can
Yeah.
go practically anywhere
So I said,
and watch TV, watch movies,
yeah.
watch live streaming. That's do we know anybody that does live streaming? Oh yeah, I think we do.
You nut. So here's what I posted a couple years ago on Twitter. All right. I said, I possess a device in my pocket that is capable of accessing the entirety of information known to man. So I use it to look at YouTube people falling down and getting in arguments with strangers.
What?
When you think about it, most people are not using the full potential of what they have in their hand. They're on Snapchat or they're, looking at
Boy, do
goofy
I sense a
things.
lesson coming up.
I know. Well, there's not. I'm not going to preach
Well,
today.
you just said they're not using the full potential
Well,
of
and
what's in their hand.
that's right. We don't. And
There's
the
a
same thing with.
spiritual application
There
there.
is.
You're not going to leave that hanging.
No,
are you?
I'll bring it unless you want to do it this time.
Well, we've been. It's very. I don't have to make a sermon out of it. It's we've been given. We
have been given
as
an
children of
amazing
God,
gift. That's
have been
right.
given many amazing gifts.
Right.
Right in our hand, and we don't necessarily. And I'm guilty of it. It's just like everyone else that we don't take advantage of using the gifts that we've been given.
Well, and it's
and
true.
when it's right in our hand, and sometimes we don't even see it.
No, it's.
Okay, that's
That's
I'm
okay.
off my sermon
No,
box for today.
That's me, and this is what
Your turn, Bishop Fulton Sheen.
2020 taught me was our only connection with anyone in the world was literally our phones
Yep, and the internets, as a
and
friend of ours says.
internets. So I think it's true when we believe in Jesus, we connect ourselves into the creator of the universe. And when we think of it in that way, he's created seasons. He divided the sea. He healed the blind. He walked on water. And he rose from the dead. There's no power greater than Jesus. And so when I think about my phone and I think about computers and I thinking about, touching and sliding, like the old iPhones, like I said earlier, it used to say slide to unlock. You could not access information in that iPhone until you slid your finger across to access the information.
And mine's kind of still that way.
Does your say? But it doesn't say slide to unlock anymore.
Yes, it does.
It says slide to
If I
unlock.
get a phone call, it says slide to unlock.
It does?
Uh-huh. Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah.
Well,
gotta
never
unlock
mind.
Unless it happens to be on, unless I'm using
Oh,
it, then.
I see what you're
But I'm
saying.
saying if the phone
Okay.
is shut off, yeah.
So what do we do though with this? What I would call, the power. Not only the power that we have in our hand, but literally the power that we have in Christ. We worry about what tomorrow is going to be like, and we argue over what types of worship songs we should sing, or we separate ourselves from a world that just seems too dark and too bad, and many Christians are giving up right now because they're like, what the heck? And I'm saying, no. Now's the time to slide and unlock the power that is within more than ever before. Because we do have the greatest power this world has ever experienced.
Right.
I believe that. And he's not just in our pockets, and he's not just in our iPhones. He's in our hearts. And, what are you going to do with this great and mighty power?
Which is, to make the analogy back to what we talked about a minute ago, which is the real thing.
The real thing.
That we have, the power that we
That's
have in
right.
our hearts. It's not conjured up. It's not created on an electronic device.
No.
It's the real thing.
It is the real thing. Well, thank you, Jeff Duffield.
You're so welcome.
You may be dismissed. As you slide across the kitchen floor in your sliding chair.
Yeah, you love that, don't you?
Remember,
I think we in this apartment we have.
It is funny though. If anybody could see, I'm going to do a video of you doing it.
We have faux wood.
Yeah, we have faux wood.
Faux wood, which is another way of saying fake wood, or whatever the composition is. I don't know, but it looks like wood, but it ain't.
No, it's not.
But it's not carpet.
But it's very nice though.
Yeah, but it's not carpet.
Right.
And so I have my desk chair, and then you have another chair sitting over there with wheels on it, as they say in the biz. Casters, not casting crowns or counting crows or anything, but casters.
Yes.
And I'm able to stay seated and just slide around the room, and the word should be roll around the room. And it's just,
you are a holy roller.
I am. It just makes my day to be able to do small things like that and swipe on my phone.
So now
I'm done.
You may be done, and now don't forget.
Don't forget what? I'm not going to forget a thing.
No, don't forget that you can at any time you can slide to unlock me as well out of this closet anytime you want, because you could slide the lock and I'd never be heard from again.
I have the power right at the end of my itchy and twitching finger to, as they say, cut you off.
I know. Yeah. Well, you're done. Okay,
goodbye.
Goodbye.
I'm done. Goodbye.
I know. So, a few weeks ago, though, I did drive past a playground in town. And it was kind of fun to watch because finally we had one of those really nice days, and I was watching kids running and skipping, and they were sliding down slides. And, the best view that I saw was a grandmother. She was getting ready to let gravity take her slightly plump body down the kids slide. And I'm thinking to myself as I'm driving by, oh, honey, don't do that. Don't do it. But I had to stop and watch this. Jumping all around on the ground were 3 ecstatic kids convulsing in the moment, shouting up to their grandmother, "Go, Grandma! Go, Grandma! You can do it! You can do it!" And so without too much coercion, Grandma pushed her large-framed body away from the hand railings and plummeted down the slide all the way to the end with a big plump on the ground. And awaiting her were 3 incredibly ecstatic children, unconscious with laughter, screaming, "Do it again, Grandma! Do it again, Grandma!" And she picked herself up off the ground and laughing and said, "Oh my, I'm not as young as I used to be. I don't know if I can do it again, but for the sake of the moment, I will try." Oh, it was a scene that I have played out in my mind. Not only have I've seen it, but I've done it myself. But while I was watching that particular scene that day, I was also replaying a similar scene in my head of a few years ago. It's such an irony to be totally present in the present, but sometimes reflecting and looking back all at the same time. So I slide to unlock the joy, and I slide to unlock the laughter, and I slide to unlock the memories, and best of all, I slide to unlock the mystery of the gospel. You see, you have full access to the kingdom of God, not just through your iPhones and through technology, my friend. You have full access to the kingdom right now. Matthew 18:3 says, "For an answer, Jesus called over a child whom he stood in the middle of the room, and he said, 'I'm telling you once and for all that unless you return to square one and start over like children, you're not even going to get a look at the kingdom, let alone get in.' Whoever becomes simple and elemental again like this child will rank high in God's kingdom. What's more, when you receive the childlike on my account, it's the same as receiving me. So when Nolan slides across my iPhone to look at those pictures, I'm just so aware of how God knows my name and God knows my face. And God understands that technology will never overrule the anointing of God in your life. Have a great week. Get on SueDuffield.com. Thank you again for all of your kindnesses and your gestures and your amazing financial blessing that you've helped us through this incredible time in our lives. We thank you once again for tuning in to Couch to Kitchen Concerts on Facebook. And that is every Thursday, 8 o'clock Central and 9 o'clock Eastern. In the meantime, slide to unlock the joy in your life. We'll see you next week.